neighbor, it's the 7th day of the week, and what a coincidence. I've got a new episode of 7 on Sunday fresh out of the oven. This video involves a deeper conversation about marketing, nepotism, pulling strings, and granting favors. We're pulling out that hated term, industry plant, and looking at 7 artists who in some way have been accused of being disingenuous in their rise to fame. Industry plant is a term that can mean different things to different people, and honestly, some of y'all throw it around like a frisbee to the point where it loses all meaning. My definition of an industry plant is an artist with an undisclosed recording contract or financial backing that's made to look like an independent act that just so happened to blow up. Being in the right place at the right time can absolutely skyrocket your fame, but usually there's a silent partner spending money to secretly shape an artist and open doors before launching their careers as they provide tools, promo, and recording personnel hoping that their investment is going to pay off. Please remember that just because an artist might have those connections, it doesn't for a second mean they aren't talented. There's even more that I wanted to cover, but I had to cram it down to 7, so hit that like button and enjoy this horticulture adventure. Claire Elizabeth Cottrell is known to the world as Clairo, an artist who went viral in the mid-2010s for her bedroom pop lo-fi sounding music. DIY was a term that was often affixed to her to describe her rise to fame, but what many still don't realize to this day is that Claire's father may have played a major role in giving her career a massive head start. When virality first struck in 2017, Clairo's original song Pretty Girl racked up more than 50 million views on YouTube and soon got her a deal with the indie label Fader. Publications ranging from Pitchfork to MTV were buzzing immediately, almost like someone prodded them to feed the hype cycle in indie circles before she had so much as an EP to her name. What no one saw was Claire's massive connection to the music industry, her father, Jeff Cottrell. Having worked in the marketing industry for decades, as well as working for Converse and the launch of their Rubber Tracks recording studio, it's not implausible that he could have pulled the strings of the industry to send his daughter's music career sky high. It's highly possible that Clairo releasing music under her full name, Claire Cottrell, before abbreviating to just Clairo was an intentional choice as the talented young singer developed a sound, but to many fans, these undisclosed connections were off-putting and showed a layer of the artist that they couldn't relate to. I don't think Claire should be written off simply because she comes from money and had doors opened early on that would normally only come to established acts. It's frustrating for sure, but she's proved her talent as a raw, vulnerable, and expressive artist, although the lingering memory of how she got started may always cast a shadow on her career. YouTube may have canned the dislike button, but if you're a person with strong opinions about music like me, Picky is an app that says it's okay to like what you like and dislike what you hate, basically like Tinder, but you're swiping for music. They give you short song clips to rate, and based on how you rate them, the algorithm learns your taste. Any song that you super like stays in a playlist on YouTube or Spotify, so you can listen to what you found on Picky. Oh, and did I mention rewards? Because each time you level up just by listening to music, you'll either get a personalized mixtape or a $1 payment through Venmo. Download the free app using my link in the description. Now back to the world of industry plants. Paramore is a rock band that formed in 2004 when all of its members were young teenagers. They become wildly successful and remain one of the most popular acts on the planet, but the early days are often called into question because of a certain contract signed by 16-year-old Hayley Williams. In the 2000s, it was still very common to see label scouts finding talented young bands, only to take and develop the singers separately and try to turn them into the next Avril Lavigne, but Paramore's frontwoman was not backing down, and her primary demand echoed out loudly that the rest of the band had to be there and they would be the ones writing all of their own music. An agreement was reached before Paramore even properly formed and put out an album, and that agreement was Hayley signing a recording contract with Atlantic Records without anyone else's name other than her own being attached, basically meaning that the rest of the band would be paid members and they wouldn't have the security brought on by an official contract. Teenagers shouldn't be held to these types of situations because at the time, how many of us are really thinking that far into the future? Hayley may have been the only officially signed member, but I can't think of a single person that's fought harder for her bandmates despite the numerous lineup changes Paramore faced. What it boiled down to was the dishonest angle the marketing team at Atlantic pushed. Hey, this is a brand new pop-punk emo band straight out of Nashville. Get them while you can. They're just making their own way by playing the band's Warped Tour and making awesome records, but please don't realize that their label Fueled by Ramen is actually an imprint of Atlantic. No, please, stop Googling that. What the hell are you doing? Bad marketing is par for the course with Atlantic, so it's hard to hold it against Haley or anyone else in the band. Their music has prevailed time and time again, and to most people, the once loud, often sexist accusations of industry plant have softened to a faint, distant whisper.
3 nights at the motel under streetlights in the city of palms.
Eyebrows were raised in 2018 as the young artist Dominic Fike suddenly exploded onto the scene like a damn meteorite collision. Columbia Records ultimately won a multi-million-dollar bidding war for the Florida native signature, but many were left wondering how the hell a short set of hard-to-find demos got him such a massive deal. Insane amounts of hype lead to almost any popular artist getting called an industry plant, and no, I don't think Dominic Fike was grown by a label. He started playing music at age 10, but by his early 20s, he proved himself quite the wild card after being charged with battery of a police officer in 2017, initially being put under house arrest before breaking the rules and landing himself in prison. By the time he got out, labels were practically beating down the doors of his jail cell just to get a chance to sign him, all because of the demo tape his family helped him release independently while he was locked away. Corners of the internet like Reddit were frantic with theories over this mysterious, suddenly hyped artist Dominic Fike, but many were suspicious of how a young dude with no official releases could be a natural self-made talent. It's a valid question, but based on all of the publicly available info out there, it sounds to me like a case of right sound, right time. It seems too good to be true, but Fike just happened to attract an unusual amount of attention to a naturally occurring circumstance in the industry. He hit the jackpot with a marketable style and a sound tailor-made for playlists, and his household name recognition only continues to grow beyond his own music as he's been tapped to reimagine a Paul McCartney song and even landed a starring role in the HBO series Euphoria. The Strokes are credited alongside the White Stripes for reviving the garage rock scene in the early 2000s, so why do some people put an asterisk by their name when it comes to calling them self-made? Despite their decades-long success that still sees them headlining festivals, people slowly realize that several members, including frontman Julian Casablancas, came from an extremely wealthy family, and his father John had massive connections in the business world, while guitarist Albert Hammond Jr. literally had a successful musician for a father. Popular singer-songwriter Phoebe Bridgers was quick to pull out this info in a 2020 interview with NME, stating, "The Strokes are an industry plant, literally. Everybody knows that, at least in music, but it's never made anyone like them less. It's such an insane fucking double standard," referring to how women, including her, are often called fake products of the industry more often than men. It's not like the Strokes have walked around proclaiming that they're some independent band with no advantages, but they also shy away from talking that much about their roots, outside of Julian notoriously having a tattered relationship with his now deceased father, which actually probably helps their credibility. Realistically, they're not a plant, just a band that got an unfair advantage early on, which is really nothing all that radical if you look to sports, acting, or business. It's all a game, and money almost always talks.
I drove through the suburbs and pictured I was driving home.
A mysterious aura surrounded the rise of young star Olivia Rodrigo, an actress but also a musician whose overtly personal journaling would suddenly turn her into Gen Z's next big thing. In reality, it wasn't all that weird to see Olivia breaking out, even though it was kinda strange to see such major support week one from the titans of the industry like Taylor Swift. While I personally didn't recognize her name when Driver's License took the world by storm in early 2021, I am also not a teenager, so therefore I was not aware of her starring roles on Disney Channel's High School Musical series and Bizaardvark, apparently. Those credits gave her a built-in fandom day one, especially those who loved her songs from High School Musical. It's really not that hard to believe that Olivia was primed for a breakout, but it's also understandable that so many were quick to label her an industry plant, because holy god did that girl destroy first week records! Can you think of anyone else that had their first official single hit #1 all over the world while also breaking as many records as Olivia did? I can't, and I also can't think of anyone else that netted 5 top 20 singles from their first album, but that just proves how valuable social media can be and adding gasoline to an already raging fire. Olivia Rodrigo may have caught a big break, But it wasn't just because she knocked and the door immediately opened. Her work started with an Old Navy commercial in 2014, which led to movies, the Disney Channel, and eventually a massive record deal with Geffen. This wasn't some random fairy tale wish come true, it was the angsty voice of a new generation delivering exactly what fans wanted to hear.
It's late night, got a late show. If you wanna roll, I got a place where popping pills is all we know.
Seemingly out of nowhere, rap had a new superstar by the mid-2010s, and his name up in lights? Travis Scott. That success didn't just happen because of a song or a mixtape or even years of hard work cultivating a fandom. It most likely happened due to a series of suspiciously fortunate events that made him one of the richest rappers in the world. You don't start working with Kanye West because you followed him home and handed off some beats. It happens because someone's got connections, and many people believe that to be Travis's father, Jacques Webster, who has ties to the industry, or else frequent Ye collaborator Mike Dean. Autotune began to rise in hip-hop in the years following the demise of gangster rap in the mainstream, with artists like T-Pain, Young Thug, and even Ye himself paving the way for a sound that Travis would cash in on with the success of his first album, Rodeo. The amount of huge names featured here includes Justin Bieber, Young Thug, 2 Chainz, Quavo, Ye, and several more, leading everyone to wonder, how the fuck is this organic? And the answer is that it's probably not. It's too insanely perfect for a rise to fame, and even putting aside the question of artistic quality, there was always a spoiled arrogance in the air with Travis Scott that eventually caused some major problems. Of course, Travis did have some music out before Rodeo, and there is a chance that somehow everything was much more organic than we think, but during an interview with the legendary Nardwuar, he mentions that he lived very close to a famous producer, which leads me to suspect his beginnings all over again. The tragedy of Astroworld Fest made me see Travis in a different light, as you probably do now as well, and Travis's repeat offenses of putting his image and cash and even his stage presence above everything else makes it kinda hard to stay objective and not throw the guy a middle finger, but I decided to leave him on the list and let you think for yourself.
You know how to make me cry when you give me those ocean eyes.
We've arrived at the final girl, but instead of a horror movie, I give you Billie Eilish, the biggest superstar of a generation who made her name off of a dark, brooding energy in collaboration with her brother Phineas. This is the only artist on the list that I have any sort of insider knowledge on, which is crazy to say, but I know someone who knew Billie when she was just getting started, and they actually went to several of the same acting auditions that Billie was trying to land because music originally wasn't her endgame. Billie exploded in popularity following the release of her single Ocean Eyes on SoundCloud in 2016, signing to a major label Interscope Records within a few months, and dropping an EP Don't Smile at Me the next year that pulled in gigantic sales and streaming numbers that led to many people, including myself, to believe that she was the next big thing. Billie handled her image perfectly, making it hard for anyone to poke holes in her talent because, above all else, art speaks loudly, both through music and visuals. She has an extremely creative, engaging mind with a minimal singing style, but that doesn't mean that she's not worthy of her clout just because it's gonna drive away certain listeners. The cynics didn't buy it, but what if I told you that Billie was definitely not an industry plant, just someone who benefits from having a very talented older brother that pulls a ton of weight behind the scenes? Phineas has actually slammed the industry plant tag before while defending his sister from accusations of nepotism, so basically, if you're out of the loop and calling everything fake, maybe think again, because everyone on the list has a story we'll never know every detail of, so why not just enjoy the ride or ignore it if it's not for you? Who's your favorite industry plant, or else somebody accused of being one? Does the tag bother you, or is it a name that you embrace or just don't care about? Let me know in the comments, and please do your own research because the term can mean so many different things. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Please hit that like button to support high effort content like this, and check out a few recent episodes of the show on screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon on ARTV.